Hey, welcome back to the Soul Pod. This is Stacy. I want to thank everyone who's been tuning in and watching my channel. It's taken off, and I really appreciate it. It's just nice to put something out there and have it be accepted and appreciated. And the lovely comments I'm getting, fantastic. Same thing with the Soul Podcast. This is something that was an offshoot from that. I'm trying something a little different, uh, sharing the same sorts of ideas, but in this format instead. uh, it's nice because I'm actually getting more information out to you than I would just with the podcast. Podcast involves a lot more production and writing and editing. So this is kind of nice. We're able to be a little more free with it and have some fun. So I appreciate that. Today, I've got something really special. I want to help you recognize how lies work in your life, both lies coming from you and lies coming towards you, and how you can use those as tools to make better decisions, become stronger. You can use it for personal and spiritual growth and for weeding out people that you shouldn't have in your life. So let's start with that. Mark Twain famously said that a lie can travel around the world while the truth is putting on its shoes. I like this quote because we can all relate to it. Uh, we've all been lied to, and we've all lied. Before we get any further, it's important to just acknowledge we've all lied. I've lied, you've lied, everybody has. If you can't acknowledge that, then this isn't going to be helpful to you. Um, but most of us can acknowledge the fact that we've lied in one way or another. If you think maybe you haven't, wait, I might prove you wrong, okay? Uh, and it's okay that we lie because it's part of the human condition. It's part of our journey. It's part of our learning process. I mean, as little kids, you get caught with that cookie and they go, your mom said, did you steal that cookie? And you go, no. You know, it's a reflex. But it's important to understand where lies come from, because when you understand where lies come from, you also understand how to change. And you also understand your motivation, your understanding of yourself, your self-awareness becomes much stronger. It also helps you, as I said, weed out people in your life who shouldn't be allowed to be in your life. So we're going to start out by looking at this chart here. There are different categories of lies, and I've broken it into 4 quadrants. It's much more complex than that, but this isn't a seminar on psychology. It's as basic as we can get, okay? So the first quadrant is this one, lies that come from good intentions, okay? There's good intentions, there's bad intentions, there's from fear, and then there's without remorse. We're going to start right here. These are the least of the lies, the softest lies. So good intention lie might be something like, let's say you went to a party and you have a friend who's crazy about this girl, and she's there and she's with someone else, but he's not there. And the next day he says, hey, was she there? And you go, yeah. He's like, oh, was she with anyone? And you're like, I don't think so. I didn't. Or maybe you saw her and he doesn't ask, and you know that she is with someone, but you don't say anything. It's just a lie of omission. A lie of omission is the same as a lie. It's just withholding information, right? It's just not as direct as a frontal lie. When someone says, is this true? And you go, no, it's not true. But it's still a lie of omission. Good intention, though, right? You have good intentions. You're doing this with the best of intentions. It's still a lie, but it's not heinous. We've all been there, okay? From fear, the cookie analogy, from fear. But it goes bigger than that. This is the next step down. Now, here's my well, okay? This is my well of lies. As you go down the well, here's where your good intentions is. It's getting a little bit lower. It's not deep in the well, but it's down there. From fear is a little bit lower over here. And the reason is fear isn't just that little cookie lie. Sometimes the fear is of shame or embarrassment or fear of rejection or fear of judgment. Fear. And a lot of this lie comes from self-esteem issues. Like you're afraid of losing a friend, or you're afraid of being unacceptable to someone, or unappreciated, or those things. Just fear. So perhaps your girlfriend catches you watching porn or something, or boyfriend catches you, I don't know, whatever you're doing, and you lie out of discomfort because you're afraid that judgment might mean they think you are unworthy, or that'll end that relationship. So that's a fear response. So it's not necessarily an evil lie, it's just a dishonest lie. Sometimes, though, the fear is purely dishonest, and that starts to lean at the far end of the from fear before we jump into this one. say you lie to a judge about the crime that you did, so that you have, again, a fear of doing time. So you're going to go, no, I didn't steal that car. What are you talking about, man? I wasn't even there. Like, uh, and you start becoming a really good liar when you get down to the bottom of that, which leads you into the fourth quadrant where you are lying from not good intentions. That's way down the well, right? You're lying from not good intentions. Say you go to buy a car and the guy says, yeah, it's a great car. It seems like it's got a lot of miles on it. I took this car myself in as a trade. The lady that brought it in, she's like 80, and she barely drove it. It's like a grocery getter. So the miles that are on it are nothing. I don't think she even broke the speed limit. She never even got on the highway with this thing. So this thing's probably got another 200,000 miles. That's practically a new car. You can trust me. That's a lie where it's purely manipulative, right? It's manipulative. It's with good intent for themselves. There's no good intent for you. There's no good intentions. He or she's not lying out of fear. They're lying with the intention of getting something. It's not necessarily malicious, but it's leaning that direction, right? So not good. Now, these three here we've all been there. Even if we just touch that for a second, we're like, oh, that iron's too hot. I've been here. Like, I've told lies that were deceitful. Thank God it's been a while. But I've told lies that were deceitful and immediately realized that doesn't work for me. That's the third rail, too hot, not touching it. These three here, well, I want to go to a Nietzsche quote. Friedrich Nietzsche said, the most common lie is that which one lies to himself. Lying to others is relatively an exception. So to get to any of these three lies, we have to lie to ourselves first. That's the justification. The first lie is always the justification. We have to justify telling that lie. I justify by, I don't want to hurt his feelings, right? I justify by, what I did wasn't really bad. I just don't want this person to think that about me. So I'm just going to say this thing so that they don't judge me or think that I'm not worthy of their friendship or love, right? Not good intentions. Oh, I gotta make money to pay the bills, so I'm going to lie to this person to sell them a car. These are all justifications. We have to justify to get to lies. Recognize that and start looking for yourself on this chart. We've all kind of been around it most of us haven't been here, but we've been around it. Even like I said, sometimes you just touch that for a second, or sometimes you just touch that for a second. It's just too hot. But most of us end up here from time to time. Some people are really good at having eradicated all of that. And I'm up in this quadrant working on eradicating all that. So start recognizing yourself on that and understand that the judgment or justification rather is the first step in this. Khalil Hosseini, the author, wrote, a liar's punishment is not in the least that he is not believed, but that he cannot be believed by anyone else. The problem is that once you start telling lies, people recognize you. They see you. Because once someone understands that they've been lied to by you, then they may not believe you. But a really big part of the tragedy of it is that you've lost respect for yourself as well. It's not good to lose respect for yourself. And even worse, as Khalil Hosseini said, you can't believe anyone else either. And the reason for that is that we project what we believe about ourselves on other people. It's our shadow, right? When we kind of use ourselves as sort of an earmark, a basis for what's normal, right? We believe, whether we think it or not, that, okay, if I'm capable of that, then anyone's capable of that, right? It's not abnormal. And as an extreme example, I'll use Ted Bundy, the serial murderer. I think he admitted to killing close to or about 30 women. In a jailhouse interview, Bundy said that, they're serial killers or your fathers, your brothers, your uncles, we're out there. We're just out there. Like, you're going to kill me, but there's still going to be serial killers. And he believed it. He truly believed it because he was in that antisocial personality disorder spectrum where he was so far gone that was normal to him. But we're all there in terms of justifying the way we feel. We are all the baseline for what we think is normal. So we may think we're, okay, I'm a little abnormal, but none of us think that what we're doing is like completely out there. And the reason is we have to justify that we're normal to be able to live with ourselves. If we didn't say, okay, okay, occasionally I shoplift from a store, but everybody does that. Like, do they though? Or are you just saying that? Because most people don't shoplift, right? But we all, I don't know if it's a great example or not, because I think most people don't shoplift, but there's justifications in our life that, we do things and we have to justify doing it. And we have to tell ourselves that's normal to make it okay. Okay. Long explanation of that. But the reason I tell you all that is because it's important to start finding yourself on this quadrant. If you can find yourself on this quadrant, you can start working on yourself. We're going to come back to that. The fourth quadrant here is without remorse or justification. If you lie without remorse, without justification, you are that person who is in the narcissistic or antisocial personality disorder spectrum, in that zone of, like, serial killers are in that antisocial personality disorder spectrum. Narcissists are in there, which are leaning towards that darker side. Some of us have had this person in our life. Some of us have had the narcissist who could lie with a straight face and believe that it was a justified lie. A narcissist sometimes will know that they're lying and they'll do it anyway because they're in here with not good intentions, but they've slid to the very bottom of this and jumped over into this quadrant. They're just barely in here, but just enough that they can lie to you with a straight face knowing they're lying. The next step of narcissistic personality disorder takes them to a level where they may or may not know that they're lying, and they'll lie to you anyway. They're going to do what they're going to do. They're going to justify it in their mind, and they're still going to do it, and they're not going to probably feel remorse about it. Okay. And then it goes much deeper where they just don't know, and they just lie reflexively. Okay. And so there's no justification, no remorse. If you have these people in your life and you recognize them in your life, you need to get them out of your life. That's a quadrant you have to identify, because once they're here, there's nothing you can do about them. There's nothing you can't help them. We'll go back to what you can do up here. You can't help these people. They have to help themselves, and to help themselves, they first have to admit that there's a problem. And most of them will not admit there's a problem. It takes professional help to get these guys fixed, but they gotta want to change. Okay. You cannot change them, and keeping them in your life will not help you. So that's your big tool here. So one thing you can do, there's two tools here now. These guys here, you can do stuff about that. If someone's in here and they admit they have a problem and they want to change, you can work with them. Okay. But they have to admit they have a problem and they want to change. Now, if they admit they have a problem and they don't change, forget it. They're leaning too far down this way. You can move out of that category, bump them along. Over here, lying out of fear. Okay, cool. You can work with that too if they admit they have a problem and they want to change. Good intentions. Okay, sure. But the other tool, and this is really important, is what this does for you. See, what you can do is, if you can find yourself in one of these quadrants, either, first of all, I would first go through it and admit where you've been. Like I said, I've been there. Like, you get there and you're like, no, that's not a spot where I can feel okay about me. You learn that one really quick. And if you don't, you end up down in here. Have I lied out of fear? Yep, I've lied out of fear. But I find myself most of the time up here now. This is my work. Maybe this is your work. Maybe this is your work. So first of all, admit to yourself where you've been on the spectrum. And by the way, if you've been here and you're not here anymore, if you're out of this and you're moving up in here, over here, good job. Fantastic. God bless you. You're fantastic. You are maybe part of the 1%, because there aren't many people that come out of this quadrant and improve themselves. And if you're there, please leave me a note in the show notes. Just, give yourself a shout out. And if you've got any advice for how to recognize your own bullshit and get out of it and improve, please do. If you've been here, same thing. Share that with us, please. But do me a favor. Do a shout out in the show notes. Tell me if you got the courage to do it, which quadrant you're in, and what you're going to do to change, or just what quadrant you're in for that matter, or how you've moved out of one or the other. But if you can recognize where you're at right now, like I said, this is my work. I'm working here now. Like I'm always worried about hurting people's feelings, and I'm always trying to soften the blow. And I know that ultimately, really, it's probably a better thing to be completely honest with the best of intentions. It's just that some quandaries that land in our lap are really challenging. that land in my lap specifically because I'm responsible for me. So speaking with I statements, sometimes I make the wrong choice when it comes to this quadrant. So I'm working on that. There's a French proverb that said the greatest liar is the one who talks most about himself. I wanted to share that because that's how you find this person. If you're not sure if this person's in your life and you have someone in your life who's constantly lying about themselves, about their achievements, about how great they are, about this or about that, and you've caught them more than once, yeah, strike one, strike two is usually enough. You can go strike three if you want, but if you hang out with this person past strike three, that's on you. That's on you. If you allow this person in your life, they will drag you down. If they're in your life now and you get rid of them, you're going to be better. Do it. Just get rid of them. Nobody needs this person so bad. If you have this person in your life and your fear is if I get rid of them, that I won't have someone else, you will find someone else because you can't go any lower than that. You can only go up from that, right? You may get another one of these if you're not really careful, but you're not going to get anything lower than this because this is the lowest quadrant of liar. And liars can't be trusted. Liars in this category are completely untrustworthy. They don't care about you. They only care about themselves. So find yourself on here. Find yourself in which quadrant you belong or which you currently reside. Figure out where you're at in the well and then start pulling yourself higher. Pull yourself higher because you're worth it. And this is a fantastic tool to help you get better and stronger, spiritually more powerful, emotionally and personally much better. So any questions on this, any comments, please share them in the show notes below. Also, don't forget to listen to the Soul podcast, and thank you for your time.